and I would like to share with you in this video my top tips for raising resilient, confident children. First of all, we need to define what we mean by resilience. Now, resilience is an essential skill in raising any confident, happy child. It is the ability to manage stress and adversity in our lives. When we're resilient, we have the ability not only to navigate adversity, but also possibly to learn and grow from those experiences. And the good news is that this is a skill that all of us can develop at any age. Now, when children lack resilience, they're likely to overreact to the stressors in their lives. They may experience unnecessary negative emotions. They may retreat or avoid from growth experiences, and generally just lack the confidence to deal with and cope with adversity. So how is it that we can help children to foster and develop this important skill? My first tip relates to normalising and reframing adversity. Now, as a parent, we might be inclined to want to protect and shield and prevent the child from experiencing any form of pain, adversity, failure, setbacks, etc. And this is a very understandable parental impulse. However, we as human beings grow from embracing challenge. That is a fact of life. And although we may want to wrap the child in cotton wool and prevent any painful experiences, this ultimately will not serve the child. So we would do well to look at our own relationship with adversity. How do we treat adversity? Do we embrace it or do we avoid it? We really serve children and help to build their resilience by introducing adversity as a normal fact of life. So by normalising it and by talking about it as something that they can expect and grow from possibly, we will actually help to build resilience within the child. Another thing that we can do is we can share our own experiences of overcoming and learning and the obstacles that we have faced and the struggles that we've overcome. And that can inspire the child and help and remind them that it is possible to face challenges and overcome them. So the next time your child is struggling with something, you can remind them that this is something that's probably quite normal, that lots of other kids struggle with. But you might also ask them which of their character strengths might they need to overcome this, and what are they learning while they're doing it. So a focus on learning can be really helpful in encouraging a child to move through adversity. My second tip is to empower the child to find solutions and take action on any problem that they're facing. Now, if a child is going through something challenging, let's say for example they're being treated unfairly by friends or being bullied, it can be quite common for them to feel a sense of helplessness and hopelessness, a sense of being alone in their own head with the problem. And this can make them feel as if they are trapped and alone and stuck and that they can't actually move through the adversity. However, a problem shared is a problem halved, as we all know. So if we can get the child to open up and to talk about the problem with us, we can empower them to find options and solutions to whatever problem it is that they're facing. And it may be the case that there are 2 or 3 or maybe even more ways in which they can solve this problem or take steps to find a solution. And by doing this, you are teaching the child that they can take action, they can find a solution to their own problem, that it's not hopeless and it's not helpless. And confidence really comes from empowering that child to take brave action to deal with their challenge by themselves, rather than us rushing in to fix it or solve it for them. So the first step is to actually empower them to solve their own problems creatively. The third tip that I have for you to help your child to develop their resilience is around challenging their thinking on things. Now, it is often the case that negative undermining thoughts can actually be at the root of a lack of resilience. It's very common for children to think that they're no good at something. They might say, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, people don't like me, people will judge me if I do this. And even if they're not aware of those thoughts, they can be there in the background, and the child may be identifying with those thoughts, and they're unconsciously running the show and creating and manifesting in this lack of resilience. So how can we help children to develop this skill of challenging their thoughts? Well, first of all, they need to know that their thoughts are powerful, that there's a link between their thoughts, their feelings, and their behaviour. A very simple way of explaining this link is to take an example of a child who says, I'm no good at maths. So this child might think, I'm no good at maths. They may or may not be aware of that thought. It may lead them to feel a sense of sadness or a sense of inadequacy with regard to that subject. So they might feel in a kind of a low state because of it. It also might lead them to not want to put as much effort into that subject if they believe that they're not going to really be able to work on it and improve it. It may in some cases lead them to give up entirely on that subject, which we know does happen. So in this case, the thought, I'm no good at maths or I'm stupid at maths, is really what's fueling the lack of resilience. And so we really can serve children by helping them to identify their thinking and to change any thinking that is not supporting them and not helping them get to where they want to be. A good rhyme for this that I have is, our minds are a garden, our thoughts are the seeds, we can plant flowers or we can plant weeds. And so the next time your child is struggling with something, you might want to ask them this. You might want to ask them, are they planting flowers or are they planting weeds? And if they're planting weeds, let's put that down on paper or ask them to verbalize what those weeds are. And let's change them. Let's change what they're telling themselves about this particular thing. Let's make it more accurate. Let's make it fairer. Let's make it kinder, because they have that ability. Thoughts are not facts. They are just mental events and they need to be challenged, and we can teach children to do that. My final tip for helping children to build resilience is to teach them about their feelings. Now, our emotions are not things to run away from. They are simply a form of feedback, and they inform us how we feel about experiences in our lives. And learning about what makes us happy, sad, afraid, disappointed, etc. gives us valuable data about ourselves. Sometimes, if a child is afraid of something, their fear may be justified, but sometimes it's not, and that needs to be looked at. So our emotions are really important messages to be discussed and considered. Now, a way in which we can really help children with regard to their emotions, and quite a simple thing that you can do, is to help them to identify and label whatever it is that they're feeling. Now, research shows that this is actually a way of down-regulating the stress response. So simply by a child pausing and taking a deep breath and saying, I feel angry, that is a way for them to create a little bit of space and a little bit of distance from the emotional experience. And from that place, they're much more likely to be able to respond rather than react. So I would encourage you to help your child to build their own self-awareness through identifying how they're feeling in any given moment. And a great app for this would be the Mood Meter app, which you can download, and it allows children to just identify and build their emotional literacy. And that's a great way to get them on the road to developing emotional intelligence. So that's it from me. I hope I've given you some practical ideas for how you can help children to develop this important skill. Thank you so much for watching.